Hey guys, welcome to the Techpoint Africa Podcast. My name is Emmanuel.
I'm Femi.
And I'm Bolu.
Welcome back. So,
thank you.
I'm not going to address that. So, let's just move on. So last week, Ogheneruemu had like a one-on-one on the podcast, and it was an interesting conversation. But now you guys are back. Where did you guys go to last week?
Boring you out. Is that what you're trying to say?
What did I say? What did you hear?
So it was an interesting conversation, but now you are back.
Oh, but and now you are back. Not but. Ah, really?
Okay. For me, I went to very. Let me know, reveal the things I do during my,
during work hours.
No, it was not work hours.
Doing podcast when you record podcast, you never during work hours.
Oh yes, it was a work thing, but it was a very
thing.
nice work thing that I went to do.
So while we were grinding in the studio,
I was at the beach actually. It was work related, but it was at the beach. There was a pool.
While they were grinding, I was fighting for life.
Yeah. I told our audience to reach out to you and say hi, but I didn't say anything. I didn't give any context, which was very bad of me. But because I was caught between two minds, should I say anything or should I not? But I just said, reach out.
Good for you.
Good for you. So, you wrote a story earlier this week, and the story has, of course, a lot of people must have already seen it. I mean, your bag short video. Wow. Many Nigerian employers will soon find themselves in jail. So, how are you thinking about that? Because it made me realize that there are a lot of laws that the Nigerian government is passing that could be of potential benefits to the people, but no one knows about, no one cares about, no one mentions. And
so this is one of it.
Yeah, and shout out to Lopadi. That's how I got to find out. So nice platform.
Yes, interestingly, this particular law, that's the Employee Workman Unpaid Wage Prohibition Bill 2016, right? It was first proposed in 2019, and it passed the second reading on September 27th.
It was first proposed in 2019.
Yes, that is March 2019.
So this is 3 years later.
It got its first reading in July of the same year, and this is 2 years plus later it got second reading. And interestingly, on the day of this House of Representative plenary, that session ran for like 2 hours 30 minutes, right? And this came up close to the end of the session, right? Just to when they were going through some bills that are raising the what's it called? That said that should be reread, right? So it seems like it's not just something that is seen as quite important, but for the fact that the Speaker of the House, that is Femi Gbadabiamila, thought to propose this kind of bill, and it has gone this far, which we don't know how far it has to go again, because there has to be a third reading,
a public hearing,
then a presidential assent.
So I'm not really concerned with the technicalities of the details. The legal guys will sort themselves out, but the question in my mind now is, how would this be enforced?
So talking about enforcement, right? When news like this come out, right, it gives citizens a kind of hope, which some people actually thought this should be a crime ordinarily, right? But it's not a crime. It's just a breach of civil agreement or civil contract. Like I owe you money, or you lent me money, and I say I will pay it after 3 months with my signature on paper, and if I don't pay you back, I can't go to prison for it, right? You can just find a way to do arbitration and just find a way to get me to pay. You get. Same with owing salaries. There's a contract binding you as an employee and as an employer, right? And the contract says this particular person will fulfill these obligations under certain conditions, and you will pay the person for it.
Okay, so but this is something I want to actually address, right? A lot of comments we've been seeing the comments, guys. How would this be enforced in the public sector? Because of course with private companies it's easy to bully them into all of these things, right? Pay extra 10%, pay extra 20%, 30%, and go to jail. It's easy to bully private companies and small companies. Well, if a major Nigerian bank, misses salary for 1 month, are they going to enforce this?
So enforcing
for public sectors, how would the Nigerian government enforce it for state governments that claim they are not getting the remunerations from the federal government, or the remunerations from federal government is not enough, so they can't pay salaries?
So thing is, when something is considered, when something is considered a crime, right? You that the crime is committed against, you can go and seek redress in the court of law.
In the court of law.
And those people can be prosecuted if they are found guilty.
Have you ever seen a governor? Or
it don't have to be a governor, right? You've seen when unions bring cases against government. The employer might be your governor, but it's the government. You are a civil servant. You are working for the government.
Yes.
Right? So if as a union your money is being owed, your salary or your pension is being owed, as a union you can seek redress in the court of law. This thing is a crime, right? The crime is done by the government. So the reason why this has a kind of hope, right? It's not as if you will just say, my salary has been delayed for 1 week, right? Government, so you are committing a crime. This is a crime. You go to the law court, open a case.
And if the government says, as usual, that there's no money,
that is why it is in the law court. It's something that will be heard. It's something that will be addressed in the law court.
And in that court, government
when there's a verdict, when they say there's a verdict, it's just like when maybe there was an election, right? And the city government is they found out that the sitting government committed these things during the election process, which rendered what made them to win null and void, right? We then say they are not going to listen. It's the law against the legislation. Like there's there's a judge that sat and made a verdict that you are found guilty of this. Okay. You are supposed to pay this particular fine according to this set law.
Which comes back to what I'm saying.
So the government, of
I
course,
have no money to pay that fine. Yeah, carry me as I am.
I guess the best person to answer that question would probably be a judge. Let's say the government is taking to court, and you are saying government owes me 3 months salary, and the government or say the state now says you don't have money. The judge has the final say.
Okay, let's say they appeal now. That's okay. This is your verdict according to the law. Now they appeal that we don't have money to pay because say the federal government is owing us a particular.
So they will not bring the federal government into the equation.
Exactly.
The same federal government is owing lecturers.
You don't get my point. I'm not trying to make a case for these people, but I'm just saying by the time this thing becomes a crime, you can pursue it in the law court and probably get redress. I am not saying they will be accountable.
Thanks for adding probably. Because I still not seeing how the court.
I'm not saying.
I guess what she's just trying to say is, according to the law, this thing is illegal. It's a crime. She's not saying that you carry them to court and automatically you get some money.
Okay.
She's just laying out the facts.
So, but you know what is making me? Let's leave this dragging. I'm going to come back eventually, but let's leave this for now. For this kind of economic downturn that we are facing, and we are seeing tech companies laying off and all of that, blah 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 blah. Some of these companies are crypto companies. I met someone and the person was ready to pay me, not even with Bitcoin, but with some of all these what they call those things, bro?
You mean stable coins?
No, not stable coins. All those random coins they put on Binance.
Tokens.
Tokens. Small tokens from
they were the ones that created it.
The ones that created it. Or maybe one small XRP or one small ADA. one small whatever. So I'm not thinking how would the law, no, this is of course just speculative, right? But when will the law start recognizing something like this, because Bitcoin is not a legal tender or cryptocurrencies are not legal tender, right? But some people actually accept payment with crypto individually. Of course, it's at their own risk. So, but I'm guessing this law does not protect them.
So the thing is, when we talk about law, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a legal
No,
person.
I'm not even asking you. I'm not asking you to answer it.
I'm just saying, like, generally, right?
Yeah.
There are some agreements you will enter that your country's law or your country's law does not protect you from. The Nigerian government, they have their issue against digital currencies as it's well.
Yeah.
So if you find yourself in a mess brought to you by digital currency, out if they will not look for a gray area where they will shank you from.
Yeah, but I guess digital currencies are about to become, should I say about to become legal tender, but we are seeing more companies actually paying attention to them. For example, Google will soon start accepting digital currencies as payment for their cloud services next year. Yes, they are doing that. They are doing that in partnership with Coinbase. Coinbase will be like the provider of like the payment system for them to accept those digital currencies. So Coinbase has like this they have Coinbase Commerce. It's like a payment system. It's like Flutterwave for crypto. So that is what Google will be using, but it won't be open to everybody immediately next year. Just be open to those people that are already good with the whole Web3 ecosystem. Those people can now pay Google for their services with crypto. So interesting stuff. And the funny thing is, okay, thank you, Google. Thank you. Man, woke up too.
Thank you.
Can you see that?
Google Assistant was going to respond to that.
Can you see that?
Google.
Oh my god. This is no. No.
This one was telling me she's not, or he is not sure that I'm talking to
Really? This one is sure. This
brother is so confusing.
or them.
He said
They are
he
not
or
sure that I'm
she
talking
is
to
not sure
them.
I'm talking to him.
this one understood me. No, and now it's giving me the whole news about.
Oh, it's giving you the own news
Coinbase
about
and
Google accepting Google.
Can you
Oh,
see?
Google selling Google's market.
Can you see?
Interesting.
Oh,
They just advertise their market on our podcast without paying.
We should write today. They should pay.
All right, so interesting one. So they cannot pay for Google cloud services with crypto, and the funny thing is that they were not always very big on crypto. If you remember, there was a time where Google was banning crypto ads, and people were like, why is Google doing this?
and they say accepting crypto ads.
Yeah, there was a turnaround for the whole ban on crypto ads last year, but I think we all know we still have the issue, especially with us, right, with crypto ads on our newsletters, and causing it to Google was just doing something around that area. So, but I guess now that they're in this partnership with Coinbase, maybe we'll see some more flexibility with.
Yeah, you know why I'm excited? I was rubbing my palms before when you were talking, because my agenda is forming. Let me give you my agenda.
All right.
Okay, so remember last week I was talking about Google Cloud launch in Africa and how that they were using that to play their long game. All the initiatives, all this philanthropy, blah. No, everything is coming to the cloud. All the startups that are funding is coming to the cloud. In Africa, it's reportedly one of the largest adopters of Bitcoin in the world.
Yep.
Of cryptocurrencies. So think about it. With all our FX issues, with all our difficulties in getting dollar, can small crypto businesses come to the rescue? Can businesses just start paying for their cloud services with crypto on Google Cloud?
That would be nice.
Yes, and then if you think about it, the partnership with Coinbase was also it was a give. Like, Coinbase also had to do something. What Coinbase had to do was that they will now, some of their data products that were formerly on AWS should now be taken to Google. So So at the end of the day, it's still
everything is forming.
I'm telling you.
I think Amazon will be looking.
They should enable local payments.
Yeah,
And
I'm sure Amazon will not just be looking. Amazon will also do.
yeah,
There'll be a response.
there'll be a
Also.
response. Yeah, especially in. So this is like the frontier market where everybody is fighting. Sorry, everyone is fighting the final battle. Like this is where a lot of development is still yet to happen.
Yeah.
This is where a lot of businesses still don't know what cloud is. So this is where AWS, Amazon, and Microsoft can dig it out with the cloud.
And it will be interesting because all these companies, they have the resources. It will be interesting to see who wins. It will be like they are well matched.
No, Google feels like the underdog among them.
Well,
Because
in terms of resources, Uncle.
Google has resources, right? But from the cloud division alone, AWS is making mad money from the cloud division, almost $20 billion in Q2 2022 alone.
That's crazy.
Microsoft, who seems like the most quiet one among them, made over $20 billion in that same period. Google made just like $6 billion. So from the cloud division alone, those other two are like, but Google is doubling down on that because probably with Apple's grace and all of many privacy policy, EU GDPR, everybody's having data production bills up and down. Maybe the ad model might not be the future.
Yeah.
So come on, what is the future?
Cloud.
Now, so my agenda is forming. Everybody watching.
I see we are catching out of it.
Really interesting one.
Are you?
You hear what she said, Abby?
No, I did not.
It's not as if I'm cashing out of the agenda.
Why are you so excited?
I'm going to buy Google stocks. I'm going to buy Google stocks. Wait, do I have Amazon? Okay, wait. Let's not discuss that. It's conflict of interest. Yeah. So, but everything that we talked about here, you can actually continue the conversations at FinTech Summit 2022 on November 26 at 4 Points by Sheraton. And the interesting thing is, you see this whole thing about fintech. If you want to understand what it truly means, if you understand what it means, and you are lost about how to start a fintech company, what does it take? What does it entail? We need a lawyer in that. Yeah. What does it entail?
Noted.
What does it entail? Then you should come to the FinTech Summit 2022. If you are not that entrepreneurial kind of person, you just want to let me just enter fintech and be making the fintech money, then also come to the FinTech Summit 2022. Then if you are actually trying to, fintechs are the ones making all the rave. Do you know that there are companies that are not fintech companies that are raising millions of dollars because of their fintech component? So
yes,
there's also that, and that's an interesting aspect that people rarely ever talk about. Then if you want to know how this actually affects you don't even care about fintech. How does it affect your financial life? Come to 4 Points by Sheraton. So head over to fintech.techpoint Africa and get your ticket as soon as possible, because there are lots of conversations to be had, and we're going to make sure we get the attention of the government, because the government they are developing very, very significant interest in fintech. I mean, in Nigeria, we're still talking about e-naira. In Congo, they brought Shongo. What else do we have now?
Yeah, now we have
Sango. Yes, sorry.
okay. Any pronunciation?
What do we have now?
Shongo.
No, it's okay. Sango. The Sango coin. It's called the Sango coin.
Sango coin.
Yes.
Okay.
But Central African Republic is the only one. Let me use
Like they are
very popular lingo in the crypto space. They are the ones doing the most when it comes to crypto. Central African Republic, but doesn't mean other countries are not doing. Recently, Namibia Namibia also wants to start their own CBDC journey. CBDC is central bank digital currencies. They are thinking about creating their own digital currency. It was the governor of the Namibian central bank that said that Johannes Kawahap. I practiced that for like about 2 hours, and I'm sure I got it right. So Kawahap.
Yeah, Real Madrid.
Yes, so he mentioned that because of the trajectory that the financial space is going digital, right? So it will make sense that they consider creating their own digital currencies. And interestingly, a lot of countries around the world, a lot of central banks around the world are actually considering this. I think in the latest reports I can remember, I think about 80% of central banks around the world are thinking about creating their own digital currencies. But as interesting as it was at the beginning, where everybody was talking about CBDCs, it's not as interesting again. I'm sure you agree. Everyone has
China was it very interesting before?
No, China made it like is the coolest thing. They were the ones that had
so if China is doing
the loudest
CBDC,
rave about
African countries will not follow suit.
CBDC.
And see, the whole thing is just the the
excitement
went like this, and then
steep.
it went down.
And
And
you
then
guys were excited. I'm still shocked.
I
There was
was.
this excitement around, like a lot of people were talking about. It's one of the ways governments can key into the digital currency.
Exactly. That was where the excitement was, because digital currencies came, they were doing well. We were seeing rise in the market capitalization of digital currencies, 1 trillion. Bitcoin was doing this. It was also a way for people to exchange really fast, like cross-border. And then the government at first, most governments around the world, at first it was like they were averse to the whole thing. They were not, but then it went from there to okay, let's find a way to regulate it, to okay, let's start CBDCs. And a lot of enthusiasts were like, okay, this could actually be a good thing. But since the whole conversation about CBDCs, I've personally not seen anything
serious conversation.
Yes, especially with Nigeria launched their own CBDCs. Nigeria is one of the only countries in the world to actually have like an active central bank digital currency, alongside some countries in the Caribbean.
Okay, so here was the problem with the CBDCs for me. It started out as a way, for me, I feel it was a way for the government to pander to the growing horde of people who are now crypto believers. But at its heart, CBDCs strikes
anything that is called digital currency. Every characteristic that digital currencies have, CBDCs don't have it.
So this is the thing. Instead of a public blockchain, they are mostly putting it on private blockchains. So the very, very idea for digital currency, which is to take the power from the few to the many, the CBDC does not have that.
No.
So
it's still controlled by the...
Yes, exactly. So the government actually thought that blockchain was interesting technology. No, it was the effect of blockchain that was the interesting thing.
Yeah.
Because if people no longer need the banks to be able to make transactions, if people no longer need to pay through their nose in cross-border fees or wait for hours to confirm a Western Union transfer, then what's the future of all of these
central banks
and all the central institutions that were meant to regulate? Of course, they could have some out-of-the-box thinking to find a way to capture this market, but no, they want to launch their own currencies. Now, the currencies, what it does is create more transparency in government. But I ask myself, does a government really want to be transparent?
No, no country.
Any government
that's why they're actually using private. That's why Nigeria
using private blockchain. Okay, good. But a private blockchain still gives room for accountability. Those who have security clearance can still see what's going on in that blockchain.
Yeah, but those people that have that security clearance,
will they want to?
No, they won't. And the government will not give people that they know will review what they are doing to. They won't give those kind of people security clearance. So that's why I said, the whole CBDC conversation is getting less and less uninteresting. It's getting really uninteresting.
It meets the point. People thought, I guess they thought blockchain technology was the interesting thing about Bitcoin, but it was not the technology itself.
It was what you could do with the technology.
So Cutlass can be uninteresting. Sorry, a pen. A pen is uninteresting.
A pencil is actually a pencil.
It's a pencil.
Yeah,
good. A pencil is uninteresting until John Wick holds it.
Yes. until you pierce someone's jugular with it and blood starts spilling out. That pencil becomes
censorship. You don't want us to make money from the podcast.
No, we're just trying to make the analogy. You get it right.
No.
Yes, they do.
All right. So that's.
But I wish government. I think we should allow them to feel the excitement. Right.
We should allow the government.
Yes. Wait. No, you don't get like if by the time they were coming up with the idea of let's come up with a CBDC, it met a lot of pushbacks. They see that, but you say we were not embracing innovation. Now we are trying to embrace innovation. So by the time they came up with the Naira idea, for instance, in Nigeria, of course there were critics, but a lot of people say, okay, let's see what will come out of it. Then we gave them the idea that we are doing something to match what is going on with the rest of the world.
A government that wants to embrace innovation, number one, you have the option of creating an enabling environment for the likes of Flutterwave, Piggyvest, and the rest of them to thrive. What's up? Compared to Naira.
No, you have
the opportunity to create sandboxes, which you've done before.
Yeah.
Well, come on.
What came of it?
Exactly. Then, from time to time, you keep hearing one issue or the other, one regulation or the other that fintechs have to deal with, right? Of course, the fintechs have their own roles to play to make sure that they are up and doing with regulators. But come on. Then you also have the opportunity to create an environment, and not just Nigeria now, I'm talking about Africa. You had a policy that could make Africa a huge, massive single market. So you could move money. The Africa Free Trade Agreement.
Yes.
That's an interesting thing that CBDC. That's an interesting solution that CBDC can
every
actually
time
solve.
I think about it, the fact that we can't sort out that not exactly a single currency, but something that will just make trading possible and seamless across Africa. We said we should not call Africa a country, but we are trying to say Africa is a continent that should be united, and moving things or money across the borders of Africa seems like the most tedious thing to do compared to when it's intercontinental.
Good. So why not make that use case? We won't pronounce things for CBDC.
Then you take some go with. We want to feel like it's inferior to Naira. I'm trying to tell you now that if you say, let's adopt Kenya's what's their own ECD for instance.
Ghana
rather. Ghana's ECDs, for instance. In Naira, we want to feel like, so you feel my technology is not strong.
The thing is just
feel like, do you know how much? No, you don't get that is the issue with us in Africa.
No, the solution to that is interoperability, right? So if we have, just the same way we have different kinds of cryptocurrencies, we have Ethereum, we have Bitcoin, we have Dogecoin. The problem is between all of them is there's no interoperability, but we've seen innovations in recent time that try to bridge, all these blockchains together so that there's interoperability. You can easily, send Ethereum, you can send Ethereum to the Ethereum blockchain, pair it with Polygon, and then there's good interoperability. So even if all these countries decide, okay, we want to have our own CBDC, once there's interoperability where I can just take my phone, send Naira to someone in Kenya, and then they receive it in whether there's an issue or something like that, and they receive it immediately, instantly, like that, it still works, right? And then the thing now becomes, okay, the thing now is whose currency is now being used the most, and then that will now determine, okay, which currency has the most power. But it can still work even if everyone decides to have.
If that ability exists, every other thing, let market forces determine it.
Exactly. As simple as that.
Market forces, but come on, everybody wants to stamp their. Let's move on. Yeah, we're talking about cross-border payments, but we're going to come back to that. But before then, let's pay homage to our people that are paying our house rent.
Hi, I'm Abisola Adenoga, the head of business at Techpoint Africa. Did you know that you could present yourself as a reputable brand leader? Did you know that your business can get the limelight it deserves? Now you do. Using Techpoint Africa's marketing tools, we can put you in the faces of a large audience for brand awareness and thought leadership. To do this, reach out to us by sending an email to business@techpoint.africa or click on the link in the description below.
Hello, welcome back to the Techpoint Africa Podcast. So we've been talking about CBDCs and the potential to solve the whole cross-border payment issues. But we're not waiting for the government to do anything. We don't do that in Africa. We don't wait for the government, and I like that about us. So yes, who is innovating around this space? And there's an interesting use case that I'm trying to point out with this your next story.
Yes, I think I should start with the use case. See, a situation where you are in the diaspora, right, and you want to pay for the bills of, say, your relative in the village who is not in the city, for instance. Then you send money to somebody that has a bank account, and you want the person to help you to pay for that bill for your relative. Now that is one use case. Another thing is when you are in the diaspora and you want to, say, have an asset in your country, your home country in Africa, and you keep sending money every other day,
And money is entering inside a basket.
and you don't know where it's entering actually, but with the hope that they help you to fulfill that and to get that asset. Those are the use cases, and we found people that fall into the trap of getting scammed by people back home and not getting that particular asset for them, on not paying that bill. So a particular startup is focused, is a finance app. Their product is a finance app. It's a fintech startup that is focused on East Africa. And I think it's founded by a Tanzanian.
Name?
Fernandez.
Oh, the name of the startup.
No, it's Nala Money. That's
Nala
the name.
Money.
Yes.
Simba and Nala. Oh.
Nala Money. So I think it operates also available in Uganda, but this particular thing is happening in Kenya, right? So they are incorporating like M-PESA into their mode of payment. Like if you're in the diaspora, right, and you are using the finance app and you want to send money to pay a bill, you can directly pay the bill from wherever it is you are in the US or the UK for now, right? If you want to pay a bill, say electricity bill in Kenya, you can directly pay with M-PESA instead of sending it to somebody else's bank account for the person to pay that particular bill. So that is an interesting case study, right, to this recent move that they are making. And it's interesting because if you are able to remove this bottleneck, because when you've been beaten once, right, there's every probability that you say, I don't want to be beaten again, but you don't have a choice because you have to make what's it called, you have to send money home.
Yep.
The way it is said, right? So no matter the number of times somebody
Scammed
have
you.
been dishonest to you, you still have to send money home. But with this use case, you are able to remove that bottleneck, and you can fulfill your payment for any bill from wherever it is you are in the UK or the US.
The whole issue of I sent money home to build
a
a
house.
3-story building or 3-story building, I came back and met a hut.
What is good?
No. That's still what,
forest.
at least they help you to use the money for something.
Yeah.
So let's say you now have a developer back home, or I'm trying to simplify it as, okay, let's say there's a developer that you want the person to help you develop an estate. Then there is a person that sells roofing sheets, for instance, and that person says the stage of development is to put roofing sheet over the building, right? You can simply pay for the roofing sheet and have it delivered to your site.
Now that I think about it doesn't solve anything. You know why?
To an extent.
It's just for me to arrange with the roofing person and collect the roofing person collects cuts.
I think that is not too simplified. Say you are paying for electricity.
Okay.
For a
Recurring
house,
expenses.
house that your parent lives in.
Okay.
Right.
So instead of sending it to one brother in the compound to help you pay
For the
electricity,
yes, you pay
just pay the
bill
electricity bill
direct.
directly.
And since M-PESA is like the most adopted mobile money channel in
In the
Kenya,
world.
in the world, that is
actually.
for Kenya. Kenya is largely adopted, right? People pay in the market. You want to go and buy vegetable, you pay with M-PESA, right? So it is quite seamless like that when you want to pay for bills.
Yeah, I
Right.
think they call it Lipa and M-PESA. So anytime you go to any
Kenyan market,
supermarket,
markets too.
any open market, you can also just use Lipa and
Interesting.
M-PESA and pay for. In fact, most of the traders I met while I was in Kenya didn't want to collect
Collect
cash.
cash.
They preferred to collect mobile money because one, they didn't have change, and me, I was just packing cash. Nigerian that I am. This pocket had cash. This one had coins.
Mad.
Which one is 10 shillings? Which one is 5 shillings? And I'm sure they would just be looking at me. I was so ashamed of myself. Like this lady is a matured woman, old enough to be my mom, and
And you're the one behaving like I don't behave like an old person.
Egg bro in the world.
But I think we need to talk more about, Nigerians need to know more about how remarkable
mobile money
mobile money is in Kenya.
So,
I think Nigerians don't know enough.
It's not.
about it.
I don't know. I don't know if we understand, at least from the stories and from what we've read that enlightened us. We know the prospect mobile money has, right? But it's unfortunate that fintech proliferation
literation. No worry.
got to Nigeria before mobile money
It's
proliferation.
not, for me, it's not unfortunate because the fintechs are not really solving the financial inclusion problem that mobile money solves.
That is what I'm trying to say. But fintech as a vibe, if that's the word, the vibe that makes it look like this is the solution. Meanwhile, mobile money is the solution. But for mobile money to come in, it has to be supported by it must have a backing that is formidable. For instance, telecommunication.
Yeah, like
That's like, if anything is going to beat what fintech is doing with payment, which we will find out at the fintech summit, that it's not just payment that you can do that fintech can solve, right? If you are able to, if a formidable backing comes with the mobile money and is able to push it to the people that need the financial inclusion, that is the people in the hinterland, people that are using feature phones, people that do not care whether they have internet or not, all they just want to do is to pay and would not even care to hold cash if they can do it with a USD code. You get those people. If you can reach them first, which telcos have reached, so one say they are everywhere they go, right? Like they are really everywhere you go, right? Those telcos, they can reach people that are not internet enabled. So if they can be the one that will be the proponent, the ones backing mobile money, I'm serious, they will be contenders to fintech, and fintech will be able to bring mobile money as like an addition to whatever it is
The future will be
they are
interesting.
offering.
Yeah,
Yes, it will be.
So
Even bringing digital currencies into that fold.
ideas. no. He has a point because right now.
Also, Inara was saying the recent Inara story, but not recent, it has been around forever, that there'll be like a USSD component to it. So anything can happen.
I'm also thinking about. I mean, I generalize that fintechs are not solving the whole financial inclusion problem, but 4 companies I think are doing something great. Number, Paga, OPay, and Teamapt. Those guys on point, right? And there are lots of interesting conversations to be had about this whole thing. And don't forget the FinTech Summit 2022, November 26 at 4 Point by Sheraton. I wanted to say 4 Point Sheraton. But yeah, don't head over to fintech.techpoint Africa to get your ticket. And there are lots of interesting points to note. There are lots of interesting attractions. The hackathon form has closed. We saw a lot of exciting applications, and I hope. I'm curious to see who the winner will be actually, and we're going to get very, very seasoned judges that you should actually try to wow, like beyond whether you win or not. Just make sure that you wow these judges, and I'm not saying anything more than that. And if you're watching us on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, anywhere you are seeing this podcast. Please like, share, and YouTubers, please subscribe to the YouTube channel and
drop your comments. We'd like to hear from you.
Exactly. So, but I hope you found this engaging and found this watchable. We're open to feedback on how we can improve this, and of course our listeners, we haven't forgotten about you, and let us know how we can improve this podcast. You can reach us to us at podcast@techpoint.africa, or just make a comment on any of these podcasts and we'll see them. Where can we find them?
Yes, you can find us on Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Heart Radio, and anywhere else you get your podcast.
Okay. All right, guys. See you guys. The studio guys have been trying to chase us.